At that point, I think that, in my head, I knew that I had COVID-19. I definitely did not think that it was going to end up the way it did. In those moments, I thought that I was going to die. My name is Jordan Prasad, and I'm a point guard at Moberly Area Community College. This is where I grew up, and this is where I've lived all my life. Right behind me, we have the Malvern Rec Center, where I also grew up a lot, where I learned the toughness and the grit it takes to play the game at a high level. I remember countless days and nights out here playing with my friends, and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears on this court for sure.
I think being from Malvern, instilled that Mamba mentality in me.
I learned a certain toughness, and I'm just a different breed being from here, and I think that it's made me a lot better, and it's made me a lot more prepared for the world. Ever since I was young, and I think I was playing my first games when I was 9 years old, I asked my dad what class I was, and he told me that I was class of 2020. And ever since that day, that's the year I look forward to, and that's the year I worked so hard for. The year 2020 started off really good. I was in my senior year, and I was averaging a triple-double. I honestly don't feel that many players in both Canada and America had a better senior year than me. I was at the top of my game. My confidence was at an all-time high. My leadership skills was improving. I just felt I was doing everything right, and everything to propel myself to the next level. It was just a normal Friday night, and in Toronto, and I think we had a game against TBA. We were a few weeks off of the national championship, so we were preparing for that, and this was our last regular season game. Little did I know it was going to be my last game of my senior year, and that's when I think 2020 kind of took a turn for the worst. That was the year I was supposed to turn all this hard work into reality. When I first heard about COVID, like a lot of people, I think there was a lot of uncertainty about it. Once I found out the severity of COVID and how it was affecting millions of people, I had a lot of doubts and I had a lot of worries about how my recruitment would go.
Despite everything going on in the world, I was recruited by Moberly Area Community College, which is a top junior college in America, coached by Hall of Fame Coach Patrick Smith.
I'm very honored to be in the Missouri Basketball Coaches Hall of Fame. Thank you.
I was extremely thankful and extremely blessed, to have somewhere secured for next year and to have the opportunity to show my skills to the world. And, a lot of great players that come out of there. Once I landed in Missouri, I was extremely excited, to have a season. The season was pushed back and it was shortened a bit, but nonetheless, I was extremely thankful to be able to play the game of basketball, just at all.
We're practicing 1 week, and I feel very sluggish. I don't have the same energy I normally have. My cardio is off. I'm getting tired super quick, and I just knew that something was off. I was eating some dinner with my teammates, and I realized that I couldn't taste my food, and I thought that was really strange. I was like, what the hell? I can't taste my food, but I didn't think much of it. I had a Gatorade beside me. I took a sip of that, and the Gatorade tasted so bad. It tasted so bad, and I could not smell anything. And then lastly, just to solidify it, I opened a bottle of Vicks, and I put it right up to my nose, and I sniffed it for 10 seconds. And I didn't smell anything. And at that moment, I knew something was really wrong, and I texted my assistant coach, and I got moved into the quarantine room right away. But the stereotypes about COVID were that it didn't affect young people, it didn't affect healthy people. So I didn't really think much of it. I just thought it was something like the flu, and that it was just gonna play its course and I was gonna get over it. I definitely did not think that it was gonna end up the way it did. I had a very, very high fever. I had no energy. I had shortness of breath. My head was hurting like it never hurt before. And I just felt like my absolute worst. At any point in my life, physically, health-wise, I don't think I've ever felt this bad in my life. From there, I think it just took another level up. and my assistant coach got extremely worried. And me personally, I honestly thought I was losing the ability to take care of myself. And I honestly, in those moments, I thought that I was gonna die. My assistant coach saw how bad it was getting, and he actually called an emergency ambulance for me. As I was in there, as much as I thought, I wasn't gonna make it, I was gonna die, I had to think positively, and I was thinking that, when I got on the court, that I'd be back to myself, and, that it wouldn't affect me in any way long term, that, it was just something that I would have to, thug out right now. And, my genes, me being healthy, me being young would sort of take over, and that when I returned to the court, that I'd be back to myself at full strength. I was thinking that, as soon as I leave this hospital, that I'm sort of leaving, COVID behind, and that, I'll get back to the Jordan Prasad that I know I am. I'm surrounded by, all doctors at this point. They're taking tests. I have, a whole bunch of stuff in me, monitors and stuff. So at this point, I feel a bit relieved. I have health professionals around me, and I knew that, they wouldn't let anything bad happen to me. But at the same time, I didn't think that it would have the lingering effect that it did. During my 3.5 weeks in isolation, my school took great care of me. My coaches checked in on me every single day. Faculty from the school made sure I was all right. And, they did everything in their power to make sure that I was the best that I could be. And, I just really want to thank them for that. But it was just something, that was out of their hands, and something that would just take its time, that I honestly didn't know at the time how long it would take, but, it was just something that was going to have to play its course out. From a treatment standpoint, I think it went as well as it possibly could have went. When I got released and, I was cleared to get back on the court, I was extremely excited. And, I was working 7 days a week to get back. I was practicing with the team once again. And, but I still felt, something was off. I obviously wasn't, 100%, but I was just, extremely thankful to be on the court. I was back on the court. I was playing in games, and, I was contributing. I was helping my team win some games. I obviously wasn't, my full self, but I was just so happy to be back on the court. I felt that I could sort of, redeem and recover the rest of my season that was already shorn. But I felt that, I could make the best possible season out of what I had left. I put a lot of pressure on myself knowing that I had scouts watching the games, I had family and friends watching the games, and I just wanted to perform the best that I could for the remainder of the games that I had left. Part of the pressure was, having all these scouts and recruiters only being able to watch me in limited games. Because it was already a shortened season and I had already missed so much time, that I just put everything into these last games that we had, and I was trying to perform my best for all the scouts and the family and friends that I had watching the live streams. I feel it's going as well as it could possibly go, under the circumstances. Our team is rolling, our team is winning games, our confidence is at an all-time high, and then COVID hits me with another setback. Throughout the whole COVID process and throughout all the games I was playing, I knew I wasn't at 100%. I was a bit lightheaded. I didn't feel as strong. I lost weight. Just small things, but it made a difference on the court, especially the game I play at the speed I play. It was just a normal practice, but I was feeling a bit extra lightheaded today. And before the practice, I actually ended up passing out. And I woke up face first on the floor. I ended up with a concussion and that I passed out, before the practice. They put me through concussion protocol and, I ended up missing even more time with that. I was just extremely frustrated because I knew that my time was already limited. And, I was doing everything I could, to be the best player that I could be. But it just felt like, anytime I was making progress and I was getting better, that COVID, sent me back even more. When I had returned from my concussion, there were only a few games left in the season. I thought about it and I actually wasn't 100% for any of the games we played in the whole season. And I just got really down, but at the same time, I was trying to finish out the year strong for my team and just help us in any way possible on the court. It stung because, it was my first year of college, and 2020 was supposed to be the year that I take over and that, I show the world who I am and leave no doubts in people's minds, you know, the player I am and the person I am. I feel like I let people down. I feel like I let my team down. I feel like I let my coaching staff down, and I feel I let my loved ones down. But I also let myself down, and you know, the whole year it was a really hard thing to get over.
Throughout my career, you know, I've been really confident in my game, and that confidence comes from the thousands of hours I've spent on my craft. And I think that COVID is the only thing I can say that, you know, really like shook my confidence to a point where I felt that I actually couldn't play the game at a high level. And I honestly have never ever felt that way in my life, like not for 1 second. I've played against all level players, pros, NBA players, D1 players, high school players, international players. And you know, this COVID was the first thing to make me feel like I didn't belong on the basketball court. But I definitely don't feel like that now. And I made a promise to myself that I will never ever let myself feel that way again. I think what helped me get out of my slump was knowing that I wasn't alone in this experience. You know, hearing from my peers, reading stories about Division I players and pro players like Jason Tatum and Derrick Rose, you know, how hard it hit them. I feel like this obstacle in my life was one of the hardest that I'll ever face. And I just feel, you know, a sense of confidence leading into any situation that I have, that I can conquer it and that I can come out of it. Because I know what I've been through, and I just feel that there's no situation that can put me down anymore. During this whole COVID process, I really tried to take in the mantra to, you know, control what you can control. And one of the things that I had full control over were my academics. I really took the time and, you know, I did my best in the classroom, and I actually am proud to say that I attained a 4.0. You know, that was something I was really proud of, because throughout all the down times and throughout not physically being able to be my best, I still found other ways to be an even better version of myself off the court. You know, the person I am, the man I am becoming, and just, you know, really taking in being a student athlete. I'm so happy to be able to say, and you know, I'm confident in saying that right now that I'm the best I've ever been. The day after the season ended, I got right back to work, and I can say that right now I'm at the point in my life and I'm at the point in my game where I think I'm just at the top of it. I'm the best I've ever been, and I'm just ready to show everyone that next year. I'm Jordan Prasad, and this is my home court on Iskandi Sports.